Hyun stood in the center of the great hall and felt very small. The room was huge, bigger than any building he had ever seen on Earth. Above him, 12 different alien species sat on high seats that formed a circle. Each seat was made for a different type of creature. Some were filled with water for the fish-like beings. Others glowed with strange light for the energy creatures. The largest seat held the reptile leader who ran the whole council. The air smelled wrong. It was clean, but not like Earth air. Everything here was perfect and cold. No dust, no warmth, no life like humans knew it. Hyun's uniform felt tight against his skin. He was sweating, but he could not show fear. He was here to speak for all. Of humanity, human Hyun of Earth, the reptile leader spoke. His voice was deep and came from a machine that made his words understandable. You stand before the Galactic Council of 12. I am Chancellor Kresh. We have called you here to discuss your species. Hyun bowed his head slightly. Thank you, Chancellor. I am honored to represent humanity before this great council. Behind him, Sora and Tae stood silent. Sora was the best communication officer Earth had. She understood alien languages better than anyone. Tae was a ship captain, strong and brave. They had traveled for months to reach this place. Earth had sent its best people. Your species has developed faster than light travel, said a voice, like wind chimes. It came from a tall, thin creature made of crystal. This was not expected. Your world was marked as primitive. We learn quickly, Hyun said carefully. Humans are good at solving problems. Too good, hissed Chancellor Kresh. In 50 years, you went from chemical rockets to star travel. This speed of growth is dangerous. Around the circle, other aliens whispered to each other in languages Sora could barely understand. She listened carefully. The words she could catch were not good. Words like threat and control and eliminate. A blob of purple liquid spoke next. Its voice bubbled like thick soup. We have studied human history. You fight wars against your own kind. You destroy your own planet. You cannot be trusted with star travel. Every species has made mistakes, Hyun replied. We are learning to be better. Your mistakes killed millions, said a creature that looked like a walking tree. Wars, pollution, weapons that could destroy worlds. And you made all of this in just a few thousand years. Hyun felt his heart beating fast. This was not going well. The council had already decided something before he even spoke. He could see it in their alien faces, in the way they looked at him like he was a dangerous animal. Honored council, Hyun said, trying to keep his voice steady. Humans have also created beautiful art, saved dying species, and helped each other in times of need. We are not perfect, but we try to do good. You try, Chancellor Kresh repeated, but you fail. Your species is too young, too violent, too unpredictable. The galaxy needs order. The galaxy needs peace. And we want peace too, Hyun said quickly. Then you will accept our decision, the crystal being said. We have voted. 11 species agree. Only the dolphins chose not to vote. Hyun looked at the water-filled seat where dolphin-like creatures swam in circles. They had said nothing during the whole meeting. Their silence felt heavy. What decision? Hyun asked, though he already knew it would be bad. Chancellor Kresh stood up. He was huge, 3 times taller than a human, with scales that shone like metal. The Galactic Council declares humanity a servitor species. You will be placed under protective custody. Your military ships will be surrendered. Your people will work in jobs we give you. You will mine dangerous asteroids and fight in wars when we need soldiers. This is for the good of the galaxy. The words hit Hyun like a physical blow. You want to make us slaves? We prefer the term guided development, said the purple blob. You will be given food, shelter, and safety. In return, you will serve the greater good. For how long? Sora asked suddenly. She had stayed quiet until now, but her voice was sharp with anger. Until your species learns to be civilized, Chancellor Kresh replied. Perhaps a few thousand years. Tay stepped forward. His face was red with anger. You cannot do this. We are a free people. You are a dangerous people, the tree creature said. Left alone, you will spread war across the stars. We cannot allow this. Hyun felt the weight of 6 billion humans on his shoulders. Every person on Earth was counting on him. He thought of his daughter, playing in their small garden. He thought of Earth's blue oceans and white clouds. He thought of all the things humans had built and discovered and dreamed. Please, he said, give us a chance. Let us prove we can be good neighbors. We can learn. We can change. Your request is noted and denied, Chancellor Kresh said coldly. The vote was 11-0, with 1 abstention. The decision is final. You have 30 standard days, the crystal being added. Surrender your military vessels and prepare your people for relocation. Resistance will be met with force. Hyun looked around the circle of alien faces. Some looked sad. Others looked bored, like this was just business. A few looked hungry, like they were already thinking about how to use human workers. I want to say something, Hyun said loudly. His voice echoed in the great hall. Speak, Chancellor Kresh allowed. Hyun took a deep breath. He thought about human history, about all the times people said humans could not do something and humans did it anyway. About every war where the smaller army won because they refused to give up. About every invention that came from someone who would not accept that something was impossible. You think you know humans, Hyun said. You have studied our history, and you think you understand us. But you missed the most important thing about humanity. What is that? The crystal being asked with what sounded like amusement. We do not accept defeat. Ever. When someone tells us we cannot do something, we find a way to do it anyway. When someone tries to enslave us, we fight back. We have been fighting for freedom for thousands of years, and we always win in the end. Chancellor Kresh laughed. It was a cold, harsh sound. You have primitive weapons and a few small ships. We have the combined fleets of 12 species. You cannot fight the entire galaxy. Maybe not, Hyun admitted, but we will try. And humans are very good at trying impossible things. Brave words, the tree creature said, but words will not save you. Hyun smiled, but it was not a happy smile. You have just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. You think this is about military strength. You think this is about following rules and proper procedures. But humans do not play by your rules. What do you mean? Chancellor Kresh demanded. You will find out, Hyun said simply. Humans do not surrender. We adapt. The council session ended with the aliens talking among themselves. Security guards that looked like giant insects escorted Hyun, Sora, and Tae back to their ship. As they walked through the station's corridors, Sora whispered, What do we do now? We go home, Hyun said quietly. And we prepare. For what? Tae asked. For war, Hyun replied. But not the kind of war they expect. Their ship was small and old compared to the huge alien vessels around them. But as they flew away from the station, Hyun felt something the aliens did not expect. He felt hope. The galaxy was about to learn what humans were really capable of. And Hyun suspected that the Galactic Council was not going to like the lesson. Jin looked at the message on his screen and smiled. It was not a nice smile. The message was short. Council ships entering solar system. Operation Ghost begins now. He was sitting in a room deep under the mountains of Korea. Around him, screens showed locations all over Earth and beyond. This room did not exist on any official map. The government said it was just a storage facility for old equipment. They were lying. Send the signal, Jin told the woman next to him. Her name was Nari, and she was the smartest engineer he had ever met. She could take apart alien technology and put it back together in ways that made it work better. Nari pressed. A button. Across the galaxy, human ships received a simple message. Go dark! Captain Tay was leading a convoy of human ships near Jupiter when the message came. He had been expecting it. Ever since they returned from the council meeting, Earth's military had been preparing for this moment. All ships, follow Ghost Protocol, Tay announced. Shut down all communications, power down to minimum, scatter to prepared positions. The human fleet split apart like seeds in the wind. Each ship went to a different hiding place. Some went behind asteroids. Others used the magnetic fields of planets to hide their energy signatures. A few simply drifted in empty space, pretending to be space junk. When the council ships arrived at Earth, they found almost nothing. A few old satellites still orbited the planet. Some communication signals still broadcast from the surface, but the human military seemed to have vanished. Back on Earth, Jin watched the alien ships on his screens. 12 ships, he said to his team. Big ones. They think this will be easy. The lead council ship sent a message to Earth. This is Fleet Commander Zarn of the Galactic Council. You have 24 hours to surrender all military vessels and begin evacuation procedures. Comply or face the consequences. Jin leaned back in his chair. Nari, what do you think of their ships? Nari had been studying the aliens' technology for months. She had taken apart every piece of council equipment they could get their hands on. Their shields are strong, but they use old patterns. Their weapons are powerful, but they fire slowly. Their computers are fast, but they follow the same programs every time. Weaknesses? Jin asked. Many, Nari said with a grin. They build everything the same way. They never change their tactics. They think there is only one right way to do things. Jin nodded. This was what he had hoped to hear. Show me Project Mirror. Nari led him to another room. Inside were pieces of alien technology mixed with human machines. It looked like junk, but Jin knew better. This was humanity's secret weapon. We copied their communication frequencies, Nari explained. We learned how their computers think. We can make them see things that are not there or not see things that are there. And the weapons? Even better, Nari said excitedly. Their shields are made to stop their own weapons, but our weapons are different. We mixed human and alien technology. Their shields do not know how to stop something they have never seen before. Jin picked up a small device. It looked harmless, like a piece of broken machinery. This will work? It will work, Nari promised. But we need to be smart about when to use it. Meanwhile, in another part of the world, a man named Wu was doing something very dangerous. He was pretending to be an alien. Wu had been a spy before the aliens came. He was good at becoming different people. Now he was using those skills to sneak onto council ships. The aliens were not good at telling humans apart. To them, all humans looked the same. Wu wore a stolen alien uniform and walked through a council ship like he belonged there. The real aliens ignored him. They were too busy planning humanity's enslavement to pay attention to one more worker. He found what he was looking for in the ship's computer room. The aliens kept all their information in one place because they trusted each other completely. They had never fought an enemy that would sneak around and steal secrets. Wu plugged a small device into their computer. It looked like a normal repair tool, but inside it was something Nari had built. The device would copy all the aliens' plans and send them back to Earth. Within hours, Jin knew everything. He knew which planets the Council planned to send humans to. He knew how many ships they had and where those ships were going. He knew the aliens' schedules, their supply lines, and their weaknesses. They are not ready for this kind of war, Jin told his team. They think war is about lining up ships and shooting at each other until someone gives up. They have never fought an enemy that hides and strikes from the shadows. The first test came 3 days later. A Council patrol ship was checking an asteroid belt near Mars. The ship's sensors showed nothing unusual. just rocks floating in space. But one of those rocks was not a rock. It was a human ship covered with special coating that made it look like stone. Inside, 3 humans waited patiently for the right moment. When the council ship came close enough, the fake rock opened up. Missiles shot out, but these were not normal missiles. They were Nari's hybrid weapons, part human technology and part alien technology. The council ship's shields tried to stop them, but the shields did not know what they were stopping. The missiles passed through like the shields were not there. The council ship exploded in a bright flash. The other council ships rushed to the area, but they found nothing. The human ship had already hidden itself again, just another rock among thousands of rocks. "Impossible," Fleet Commander Zarn said, when he heard the report. "Our shields cannot fail. There must be a malfunction." But Jin was just getting started. Over the next week, 3 more council ships vanished. Each time, the aliens found no trace of who attacked them. Each time, they became more confused and angry. The aliens tried to guard their ships better. They traveled in groups and kept their weapons ready. But humans had been fighting guerrilla wars for thousands of years. They knew how to be patient, how to wait for the perfect moment, how to strike where the enemy was weakest. Nari's technology got better every day. She studied the wreckage of council ships and learned new tricks. Soon, human weapons could fool any alien sensor. Human ships could hide in plain sight. "They are starting to panic," Wu reported from inside another council ship. "The commanders are arguing with each other. Some want to attack Earth directly. Others want to bring in more ships. They cannot agree on what to do." Jin smiled at the report. This was exactly what he had hoped for. Good. Confused enemies make mistakes. And when they make mistakes, we will be ready. The Council had expected humanity to surrender or fight a traditional space battle. They had prepared for human courage and human weapons. They had not prepared for human cleverness. 3 weeks after the Council's ultimatum, they had lost 8 ships and had no idea how. Their mighty fleet was starting to look scared and foolish. The other species in the galaxy were beginning to notice. Jin looked at his screens and planned the next phase of the war. The aliens thought they understood humans because they had read human history books, but they had missed the most important lessons. Humans did not just fight with weapons. They fought with their minds. They fought with tricks and traps and surprises. They fought by changing the rules of the game until the enemy did not know what game they were playing anymore. The Council wanted to enslave humanity because they thought humans were too dangerous to be free. They were about to learn just how dangerous free humans could be. Phase 2, Jin announced to his team. It is time to take this war to them. The galaxy was about to discover that humanity's greatest weapon was not their technology or their courage. It was their refusal to fight. Fair when fighting fair meant losing their freedom. The real war was just beginning. Bo stared at the streams of alien data flowing across his screens. The light from the displays made his face look blue in the dark room. He had been working for 18 hours straight, but he was not tired. He was excited. "I am in," he whispered, to his team. "I am inside their main communication network." Around him, 5 other humans worked at their own computers. They were the best hackers Earth had ever produced. Before the aliens came, they had spent their time breaking into corporate, databases, and government systems. Now they had a much bigger target. "What do you see?" asked Young, the woman in charge of their operation. She was not a computer expert like the others, but she understood people. Her job was to figure out how to use the information Bo found. "Everything," Bo said with wonder in his voice. "Their military communications, their supply schedules, their diplomatic messages, they do not even try to hide anything from each other." "Why would they?" said another hacker named Ray. "They have been working together for thousands of years. They trust each other completely." Bo scrolled through message after message. The aliens wrote to each other like old friends sharing gossip. They complained about their jobs, talked about their families, and shared their real opinions about other species. "Listen to this," Bo said, reading from his screen. "This is from a Vorthon general to his friend. The humans are more trouble than we expected. We have lost 12 ships and still have no idea how they are doing it. The Chancellor is furious. He wants to glass their entire planet, but the other species are getting nervous." Young leaned forward. "Glass their planet? Alien term for destroying all life on a world," Ray explained. "They did it to 3 other species that refused to surrender." Bo found more messages. Each one was worse than the last. The aliens had enslaved dozens of species over the centuries. They had destroyed planets that resisted too strongly. They had lied to smaller species about the reasons for war. "This is perfect," Young said after reading several messages. "They have given us everything we need to turn the galaxy against them." "What do you mean?" Bo asked. Young smiled. It was the kind of smile a teacher might give to a student who was about to learn something important. "Bo, what do you think would happen if every species in the galaxy could read these messages?" Bo understood immediately. They would realize the Council has been lying to them for thousands of years. Exactly. The Council stays in power because the smaller species think they are the good guys. But what if everyone knew the truth? Over the next few days, Bo and his team worked harder than they had ever worked before. They copied thousands of messages, reports, and secret files. They found records of species that had been enslaved, planets that had been destroyed, and resources that had been stolen. But copying the information was only the first step. Young had a much bigger plan. "We are going to give every species in the galaxy their own copy," she announced. "We are going to make sure everyone knows what the Council really is." The team began reaching out to alien communication networks across the galaxy. This was dangerous work. If the Council caught them, Earth would face immediate destruction. But humans had become very good at taking risks. Ray had been studying alien cultures for months. She knew which species hated each other, which ones felt ignored by the Council, and which ones were secretly unhappy with their current situation. "The Zephyrians are perfect," Ray said, pointing to a star map. "They are the smartest species in the Council, but they get treated like junior partners. They have been complaining about their status for decades." "What about the Delphins?" Bo asked. "They were the only ones who did not vote to enslave us." "Even better," Young said. "They have been suspicious of the Council for years. If we give them proof of what the Council has done, they might be willing to help us." The humans began their information war carefully. They did not just dump all the secret files onto alien networks. Instead, they targeted specific messages to specific species. To the Zephyrians, they sent evidence that the Council had been stealing their technology and claiming it as their own. To the smaller species, they sent records showing how the Council had lied about the reasons for various wars. To the Delphons, they sent everything. The response was immediate and dramatic. "Emergency Council session," Bo reported, reading intercepted messages. "The Zephyrians are demanding answers about the stolen technology claims. 3 minor species have filed formal complaints. The Delphins have requested a full investigation into Council activities. But Young was not satisfied with just causing political problems. She wanted to hurt the Council in other ways, too. Economic warfare," she explained to a video call with Jin and other resistance leaders. "The Council controls trade between species. They make huge profits by taking a percentage of every transaction. But what if that system started having problems?" Bo's team began attacking the Council's financial networks. They changed shipping schedules, mixed up cargo manifests, and redirected supply ships to the wrong destinations. They made it look like accidents and computer glitches. Within a week, the Council's economy was in chaos. Ships arrived at planets with the wrong cargo. Important supplies went to the wrong worlds. Trade agreements got lost in the computer systems. "The Council is losing millions of credits every day," reported Wu from his position inside the alien fleet. The commanders are screaming at their computer technicians. They think their systems are falling apart. Meanwhile, Young began the most ambitious part of her plan. She started recruiting aliens to join the human cause. The first species to switch sides were the Delphins. Their leader, a wise old creature named Flowing Current, sent a secret message to Earth. "We have read the files you shared. We believe you. The council must be stopped." Young worked with Flowing Current to contact other unhappy species. Soon they had a secret network of aliens who were willing to help humanity. "This is how humans really fight," Young explained to a group of newly recruited alien rebels. "We do not just attack your ships. We attack your ideas. We show people the truth and let them decide for themselves what to do about it." The council tried to stop the information leaks, but it was too late. The truth was spreading faster than they could contain it. Species that had been loyal for centuries began asking difficult questions. Chancellor Kresh called another emergency session of the council. This time, only 8 species attended. The others had either withdrawn from the council or were demanding major changes to how it operated. "The humans are destroying everything we have built," Kresh raged at the remaining council members. "They are spreading lies and turning our allies against us." "Are they lies?" asked the Zephyrian representative. "We have seen the evidence. Our technology stolen, our contributions ignored, our species treated like servants." "Those files were taken illegally," Kresh replied. "But are they accurate?" the Zephyrian pressed. Kresh had no good answer. The files were real, and everyone knew it. Young watched the council meeting through Bo's hacked communication links. She felt proud of what her team had accomplished, but she also felt sad. The aliens had built their civilization on lies and oppression. Destroying those lies was necessary, but it was also painful. "What happens next?" Bo asked. "Now we move to the final phase," Young said. "We have shown the galaxy that the council is corrupt. We have turned their allies against them. We have made their economy collapse, but they still have their military." "And their military is still much bigger than ours," Ray pointed out. Young nodded. "True. But their military depends on cooperation between species. What happens when those species stop cooperating?" As if to answer her question, a new message appeared on Bo's screen. It was from the Zephyrian fleet commander. "Zephyrian, forces are withdrawing from council operations effective immediately. We will no longer participate in the enslavement of humanity or any other species." Similar messages began arriving from other species. The council's mighty fleet was falling apart as its member species decided they wanted no part in the war against humanity. Chancellor Kresh found himself commanding only his own species' ships and a few loyal allies. His empire of 12 species had become a coalition of 3. Young smiled as she watched the council's power crumble. "Humans have learned something important over the centuries," she said to her team. "The strongest weapon is not always the biggest gun. Sometimes it is the truth." The galaxy was beginning to understand that humanity had never intended to fight a traditional war. They had fought a war of ideas, a war of information, a war that changed the rules of the game itself, and they were winning. Kai stood on the bridge of humanity's flagship and watched the chaos unfolding across the galaxy. The main screen showed a dozen different star systems where council forces were fighting each other instead of fighting humans. It was exactly what he had planned. "Report," Kai said to his communications officer. "The Zephyrians and Vorthans are shooting at each other near the Centris system," the officer replied. "The council fleet that was supposed to attack our Mars base has turned around to deal with rebellions on 3 different worlds, and the Delphins just captured 2 council supply ships." Kai nodded. This was the kind of war humans understood. Not the clean, organized battles the council preferred, but messy, complicated conflicts where anything could happen. "Captain Min, how are our supply lines?" Kai asked. Min was a small woman with sharp eyes who had spent years learning how to move things quietly through space. Better than expected, sir. The alien rebels are sharing their resources with us. We have food, fuel, and ammunition stockpiled at 47 different locations. And the Council? Their supply lines are a disaster, Min said with satisfaction. They used to rely on cooperation between species. Now that cooperation is breaking down. Half their supply ships are getting lost or stolen. The other half are afraid to leave port. This was the beauty of Kai's strategy. He had not tried to match the Council's military strength. Instead, he had made it impossible for them to use that strength effectively. "Sir," called out Han from his position at the tactical station, "we are receiving a message from Chancellor Kresh. He wants to negotiate." Kai almost laughed. 6 months ago, Kresh had been demanding humanity's surrender. Now he was asking to talk. "Put him through." The main screen flickered and showed the reptilian chancellor. He looked tired and angry. Behind him, Kai could see other council members arguing with each other. "Human Kai," Kresh began. "This conflict has gone on long enough. We are prepared to offer you terms." "What terms?" Kai asked. "Humanity will accept limited autonomy. You will govern your own worlds but remain under council supervision. In exchange, you will stop your terrorist attacks and call off your alien allies." Kai kept his face blank, but inside he was amazed. Kresh still did not understand what was happening. "You think this is about getting better terms?" "What else would it be about?" Kresh demanded. "Freedom," Kai said simply. "Not just for humans, but for every species you have enslaved or oppressed. We are not fighting for a better deal with tyrants. We are fighting to end tyranny." Kresh's face grew darker. "You cannot destroy the Council. We have maintained peace in this galaxy for 10,000 years. You have maintained control," Kai corrected. "There is a difference between peace and oppression." The transmission ended with Kresh snarling threats. But Kai was not worried about threats anymore. The Council was losing, and everyone knew it. "Han," Kai said, "give me a status report on Council military strength." Han pulled up charts and numbers on his screen. They started with fleets from 12 species. Now they have full support from only 3 species: the Vorthons, the Crystalline Collective, and the Void Hunters. 2 more species are still officially with them, but are not sending ships to fight. The other 7 have either switched sides or declared neutrality. And their remaining forces? About 30% of their original strength. But here is the important part. Their ships are scattered across 50 different systems trying to put down rebellions and protect supply lines. They cannot concentrate their forces for a major attack. This was exactly what Kai had hoped for. The Council's military doctrine was based on overwhelming force applied at a single point. But humans had made sure there was no single point to attack. The conflict was everywhere and nowhere at the same time. "Sir," Min interrupted, "we have a problem. Council forces are moving toward the Zephyrian homeworld. Intelligence suggests they plan to bombard civilian targets." Kai felt his stomach tighten. This was what he had been afraid of. Desperate enemies did desperate things. "How many ships?" 15 heavy cruisers and a battle station, more than enough to destroy a planet. The bridge went quiet. Everyone understood what this meant. If the Council was willing to commit genocide against one of their own former member species, they would certainly do the same to humanity if they got the chance. "Options?" Kai asked. "We could warn the Zephyrians," Han suggested. "Give them time to evacuate." 15 heavy cruisers, Min said grimly. "They would catch any evacuation ships. There is nowhere the Zephyrians could run," Kai thought quickly. This was the moment when everything could fall apart. If the Council succeeded in destroying the Zephyrian homeworld, other species would be too terrified to oppose them. Fear would bring back loyalty, and the revolution would die. "We have to stop them," Kai decided. "Sir," Han said carefully, Our entire fleet has maybe 20 ships, and most of those are small, converted civilian vessels. We cannot fight 15 heavy cruisers in open battle. Then we do not fight them in open battle, Kai replied. He turned to the navigation officer. Plot a course for the Nexus system. Maximum speed. Sir, that system is empty. Nothing there. But asteroids and gas clouds. Exactly, Kai said. Send a message to all human ships and our alien allies. Tell them to meet us at Nexus. Emergency protocols. Over the next 6 hours, ships began arriving at the Nexus system from across the galaxy. Human vessels, Delphin ships, Zephyrian cruisers, and vessels from a dozen smaller species. It was not a large fleet, but it was diverse. What is the plan? Asked Flowing Current, the Delphin leader, over the communication link. Kai looked at the assembled fleet on his screen. We are going to save the Zephyrian homeworld, but we are going to do it by attacking something else entirely. I do not understand, said the Zephyrian fleet commander. The Council ships heading for your world are being supplied from the fortress station at Gamma 7, Kai explained. That station also coordinates Council military operations across this entire sector. If we destroy it, those 15 ships will be cut off from supplies and communications. The fortress station is heavily defended, someone pointed out. Yes, by ships that are currently spread across the galaxy fighting rebellions, Kai said. Intelligence reports only 5 ships guarding the station right now. The plan was risky, but it was the kind of risk humans specialized in. While the AA Council forces prepared to bombard a planet full of civilians, the combined rebel fleet would strike at the heart of their military infrastructure. All ships, prepare for hyperspace jump, Kai announced. The fortress station at Gamma 7 was a massive structure, bigger than a city. It had been built to coordinate the Council's military operations and was considered impregnable. The 5 ships guarding it were not expecting an attack. The rebel fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system and immediately split into 3 groups. The first group, led by Kai, attacked the guard ships directly. The second group, commanded by the Delphons, targeted the station's weapons systems. The third group, mostly smaller ships, began evacuating Council personnel before destroying supply depots. The battle was brief, but intense. The Council ships were powerful, but they were outnumbered and caught off guard. Within an hour, the fortress station was in ruins and its guard fleet was destroyed. Mission accomplished, Kai announced. All ships returned to rally points. The effect was immediate. Cut off from supplies and communications, the Council fleet heading for the Zephyrian homeworld had to turn back. Without the fortress station to coordinate their operations, Council forces across the sector began making mistakes and getting in each other's way. But more importantly, the galaxy saw that the Council could be beaten. Their fortress was destroyed. Their fleet had been turned away from genocide by a ragtag collection of rebels. Sir, Han reported, we are receiving messages from 17 different species. They want to join the rebellion. Kai smiled. This was how wars really ended, not with one big battle, but with the slow collapse of the enemy's will to fight. Every victory brought more allies. Every Council defeat made them look weaker. What about Chancellor Kresh? Kai asked. He is ordering all remaining Council forces to concentrate at the capital system, Min reported. It looks like he is preparing for a final battle. Good, Kai said. Let him gather his ships in one place. It will make what comes next much easier. The war was not over yet, but Kai could see the end approaching. The Council had made the same mistake that many powerful enemies had made throughout human history. They had underestimated not just human determination, but human cleverness. Soon, Chancellor Kresh would learn that humans did not just fight to win battles. They fought to change the entire game. And once humans changed the rules, their enemies rarely knew how to play anymore. The final phase of the war was about to begin. Li stood before the largest gathering of alien species in galactic history. Representatives from 43 different worlds filled the Great Assembly Hall on Nexus Prime Station, the same station where, 1 year ago, the Council had voted to enslave humanity. "Friends," Lee began, speaking into a translator that carried his words to every species present, "we are here to decide the future of our galaxy. Not to choose new masters, but to choose freedom." In the audience, Lee could see faces that belonged to creatures he had never imagined a year ago. Some were reptilian like the former council members. Others were crystalline, gaseous, or aquatic. A few looked almost human. All of them had one thing in common. They were tired of being ruled by others. Behind Lee sat the other architects of the new order. Sul, the veteran warrior who had kept the peace during the transition period. Jun, the former council prisoner who now spoke for all oppressed peoples. And at the center, Hyun, the ambassador who had started this whole revolution with his refusal to accept defeat. "The Galactic Council ruled through fear," Lee continued. "They told you that only they could maintain peace. They claimed that freedom was dangerous, that democracy was chaos. Today, we prove them wrong." Chancellor Kresh was not there to hear these words. 2 months earlier, his remaining forces had made their final desperate attack on Earth itself. The battle had been short and decisive. Kresh now sat in a Federation prison, awaiting trial for crimes against sentient beings. The path to this moment had not been easy. After the Council's military collapse, the galaxy had fallen into temporary chaos. Dozens of species had declared independence. Trade routes had broken down. Some systems had fallen into civil war. But humans had been ready for this chaos. They had spent months preparing for what would come after the Council's defeat. Order. Without freedom is not peace, Sul had explained to a gathering of former Council worlds. It is just delayed violence. Real peace can only come from voluntary cooperation. Sul's job had been to prevent the galaxy from tearing itself apart during the transition. He commanded a mixed fleet of ships from 20 different species, not to conquer or control, but to protect trade routes and stop conflicts before they became wars. "We do not impose peace," Sul told his diverse crew. "We offer it to those who want it." This approach had worked better than anyone expected. Most species were tired of fighting. They wanted trade, cooperation, and security. They just did not want to be enslaved to get those things. Jun had played a different but equally important role. As someone who had suffered under council rule, he understood the anger and pain that many species felt. His job was to channel that anger into something constructive. "Revenge feels good," Jun had told a gathering of former council slaves. "But revenge does not build the future. Justice builds the future." Jun had helped establish truth and reconciliation committees on dozens of worlds. Former oppressors and their victims sat together and told their stories. It was painful work, but it was necessary work. Some species demanded harsh punishment for their former rulers. Others wanted to forget the past entirely. Jun helped them find a middle path that acknowledged past wrongs while focusing on future cooperation. "The goal is not to make everyone happy," Jun explained. "The goal is to make everyone free to pursue their own happiness." Now, in the Great Assembly Hall, Lee was presenting the fruits of all their labor. The Charter of the Galactic Federation. "A species will rule over another," Lee read from the document. "No world will be forced to join or remain in the Federation. Trade will be free and fair. Disputes will be resolved through negotiation, not force." The Charter was much more than just a list of rules. It was a completely new way of thinking about galactic civilization. Instead of a pyramid with powerful species at the top and weak species at the bottom, the Federation would be a network of equals. "But who will enforce these rules?" asked a representative from the Crystalline Collective. They had been among the Council's most loyal supporters and were having trouble adapting to the new reality. "We all will," Lee replied. "The Federation Navy will be composed of ships from all member species. No single species will control more than 10% of the fleet. Command positions will rotate every 5 years. And if a species breaks the rules, then they lose the benefits of membership, Lee said simply. No trade privileges, no protection, no voice in Federation decisions. Freedom comes with responsibilities. This was perhaps the most radical idea of all. Instead of ruling through force, the Federation would rule through incentives. Species would follow the rules because following the rules benefited them, not because they were afraid of punishment. The human approach, whispered one alien delegate to another. They make cooperation more profitable than conquest. The vote on the charter took 3 days. Each species had to debate internally before deciding whether to join the new federation. Some, like the Delphins and Zephyrians, voted yes immediately. Others needed more time to consider. In the end, 39 species voted to join. 3 voted no, preferring to remain independent. 1 abstained, saying they needed more time to decide. The Galactic Federation is born, Lee announced as the final votes were counted. May it serve the cause of freedom for 1,000 generations. But Lee was not finished. He had one more surprise for the assembly. The Federation needs a capital world, he said, a place where all species can meet as equals. The old council chose Nexus Prime because it was powerful and intimidating. The Federation needs something different. Lee gestured to a holographic display showing a small blue-green world orbiting a yellow star. I propose New Harmony, a world that was once devastated by council mining operations. We will rebuild it together, each species contributing their best knowledge and technology. It will be a symbol of what we can accomplish when we work together. The proposal passed unanimously. Within months, ships from dozens of worlds were heading to New Harmony, carrying everything needed to build a new kind of civilization. The project became known as the Great Cooperation. Zephyrian architects worked with human engineers. Delphon artists collaborated with crystalline sculptors. Former enemies became partners in building something beautiful. Lee often visited the construction sites on New Harmony. Watching aliens and humans working side by side, sharing ideas and solving problems together, he felt proud of what they had accomplished. Do you think it will last? June asked during one of these visits. Lee considered the question carefully. Nothing lasts forever, he said finally, but I think it will last long enough. Long enough for what? Long enough for people to forget that there was ever any other way to live, Lee replied. The Federation was not perfect. There were still disputes, still problems, still species that chose isolation over cooperation. But for the first time in galactic history, those problems were being solved through talking instead of fighting. Years later, when historians wrote about the Great Revolution, they would debate which moment was most important. Some would point to Hyun's defiant speech before the council. Others would highlight Jin's guerrilla campaign or Young's information war. But Lee thought the most important moment had been much quieter. It was the day when a young Vorthan engineer working on New Harmony had asked a human supervisor for advice on a technical problem. The Vorthan had not asked because he was forced to. He had asked because he knew humans were good at solving problems. That was when Lee knew the revolution had truly succeeded. Not when the council fell, but when former enemies began to see each other as partners. The galaxy was no longer ruled by fear. It was guided by hope, and hope, Lee had learned, was the most powerful force in the universe. Standing in his office on New Harmony, Lee looked out at the busy construction sites where dozens of species worked together. In the distance, he could see human children playing with alien younglings, learning each other's games and languages. We did not fight to rule the galaxy, Lee said to himself, remembering the words he had spoken at the first Federation Assembly. We fought so that no one could rule it unjustly. The future belonged to all of them, and that, Lee thought, was exactly how it should be.